how you doing? It's MrDoTheMath here, and today we're going to talk about angles. Angles. Does everybody have their notes? Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, so we've already learned about planes. We discussed planes, lines, and segments, and points. And today we're going to talk about angles, which are just a combination of things. So an angle is two rays that share the same point, right? Two rays that share a point, right? Two rays, one ray, two rays, they share a point, right? This point is known as the vertex, right? The point is called the vertex. Okay, and so we talked about naming. Like our shapes, right? Our lines. In order to name a line, you got to have a line over it with the arrows. To name a ray, you got to have a line and one arrow. A segment, just a line, no arrows. So to name an angle, the vertex always goes in the middle. So you have three ways to name this thing, right? Give me letters for this.
CDA.
A.
B. C.
Okay. So, to name this angle, right, you can name this angle three different ways. You can name it angle. You must have this first. The angle sign, A, B, C. All right, vertex in the middle. Angle, C, B, A. Vertex in the middle. Or you can name it just by its vertex. Okay? So those are three ways that you can name it. All right. Another way you can name it is, for instance, if they put like a number here, right? You can also call it like angle 1. Okay. Now there is a case where you cannot name it by this number and a letter, and that's when you have a third vertex there. So for instance, if I had a third vertex and I labeled this D, right? No longer could you name it just angle B, because two different angles share this same vertex. So you would have to name it. You would have to name it like this. You have these angles here. Name it that way, and then you can name these angles here, and then this big angle. So for instance, you got angle DBC. Everybody see that? Or you could say angle CBD. Right? And then for the big angle, you name it angle ABD, right? Or vice versa, you switch it around. Okay? So, when you're naming these angles, if there's only two rays, you can name it like by turning them around this way, or by the vertex. But when you have more rays than two, you have more than two rays, you have to name them by their letters. You must name them by their letters. Alright? So let's write that down. So when you have more than two rays, you name by letters. Alright, when you have more than two rays, named by the letter. Okay? We good so far? Alright, so that's just naming angles. And again, when you name them, you gotta put this angle sign here. Because if you don't put this angle sign here, what is ABC then?
A line.
Nah.
It ain't.
Not a segment. You got 3 points here. And then non-collinear. So a who? Plane. Yeah, a plane. This is a plane. If you don't put the sign there, it's a plane. Right? If you put a line over it, it's a line. Alright? So you must put this sign in. Right? Because if you don't put the sign, you're telling me that you're talking about a plane, and you're not talking about a plane. Okay? So, let's look at this. So, you use a protractor. That's that circular thing, right? It's this thing that looks like this. You guys remember that? Right? Looks something like that, and it's got angles and stuff up, like degree measures. That's how you measure angles, right? we have 4 different types of angles, right? You have 4 different types. You have, can somebody name it for me? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You have a right angle, good. What else?
Acute.
Acute. Acute. Yeah.
Obtuse.
Obtuse. And
Straight.
yes, straight. Very good. All right, so shout out to middle school, right? A right angle. What's the rule for a right angle? 90 degrees. It equals 90 degrees. Like an acute angle? Yes, sir.
Less than 90 degrees.
It's less than 90, but
More than 0.
more than 0. Obtuse.
More than 90.
Greater than 90 and
Less than 180.
less than 180. Good. And then a straight
180.
equals 180. Right? Remember that. Okay? Remember that. And now, we know a straight angle because it'll just be a straight line. Right? It'll just be a straight line. And we know a right angle because it'll have this box here. Okay? Now remember, I don't know, the first couple of days I told you guys, in geometry, you can never assume, right? You only go by what they tell you. So even if this angle looked like an L, if it doesn't have this mark here, you can't assume it's 90 degrees. And they must tell you that it's 90 degrees, either by making this mark here, or by saying, hey, it's 90 degrees. If it doesn't say that, it's not a right angle. You good with that? All right, cool. Now let's get to some like math, right? So, now we want to talk about the angle addition postulate. Angle addition postulate. Right? What's postulate mean again? What's postulate? What's another word for postulate? Just what is
Rule.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Angle addition rule.
Right.
That's it, right? What does angle addition sound like? What are you doing?
Adding.
Adding what?
Angles.
That's it. That's what angle addition postulate is, right? So if you have 3 angles here, right? 1, 2, 3. If you have 3 angles and you name them, give me some letters.
CBD. B.
All right. So we have these angles here, right? Angle addition postulate basically says this: the sum of this angle plus the sum of that angle equals the whole thing, right? So angle addition postulate says that angle CWB, we see this, right? CWB plus angle BWX, that's this angle here, equals the whole thing. Angle CWX. Okay? So, it's the sum of 2 smaller angles that equal the big angle. Angle addition postulate. Okay? So, that being said, if I said angle CWB was 54 degrees, and I said angle BWX was 35 degrees, how big is CWX?
You said,
Huh?
you said 89.
Yeah, it'll be 54 plus 35. 89 degrees. Okay? That's angle addition postulate, right? You're adding to measure these angles. That's it. That's it. Right? We good so far? Alright, what if they do this? If I say CBD is 54 degrees and I say the whole thing equals let's say 105 degrees, right? How would you find? Yeah, you subtract 54 and you would get what?
51.
51.
51.
51. Right? So, again, so now what you have is like an equation, right? And that's all it is. So you're adding the small to get the big. And if you got the big, you got to subtract one of the smalls to get the small. Okay? So, now let's look at like high school geometry of angle addition postulate, right? So, let's make it, do two more challenge. So, let's use this. Let's use this angle here, right? It says L, K, N, and this is M. This is an L, right? It says L, angle L, K, N equals 145 degrees, right? This is 2x plus 10, and this angle is 4x minus 3. Alright, we good so far? We need to find a measure of these angles, like I do now, right? So, second of this, yes, Nyla, what would it do?
Add them all, like add like times.
You add them together, right? So you would have basically what you have is let's slow down. Let's start here. Like angle LKM plus angle MKN. This is an N, right? Equals angle LKN. Right? Alright? So now what am I doing again? So I'm adding these two together, setting it equal to 145. So it's 2x plus 10 plus 4x minus 3 equals 145. You good so far? Cool. Now, she said we combine like terms, and that's what we do. So you got the 2x and the 4x, which is 6x, and then you got the 10 minus 3. Plus 7 equals 145. Then we just solve for x. Alright? Subtract 7. Subtract 7. 6x equals what? 138. Then you finally divide by 6.
23.
X equals 23. Right? So you solve for x. Now we need to find and measure these angles. Alright, so you take 23 and you substitute it into the first one. So it's 2 times 23 plus 10. Right? Which is 2, that's
56.
56 degrees. Right? So that's 46 plus 10. 56 came from 46 plus 10. Okay? And then the next one was 4 times 23 minus 3.
89.
89? So you multiplied this first, right? 4 and 23 was what? 92 minus 3. 89 degrees, right? Okay? So this 89 degrees, and this is 56 degrees. Okay? You feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Alright. So let's do one more. I'll do one more. Alright, so we got the straight line here, and we got this, and we got 10x minus 5, 4x plus 3. Alright, this is angle K, this is L, this is M, this is N again. Okay? We need to find and measure these angles, so solve for x. Alright? How would I set this one up? How would I set this one up? Yes, ma'am.
Would you set them equal?
You set them equal? Okay, ask you disagree?
Yeah, 10x minus 5 plus 4x plus 3 equals 180.
Why 180?
Because it's a straight line.
Yeah, it's a straight angle right here. Very good. So you got 10x minus 5 plus 4x plus 3 equals 180 because this is a straight angle. Okay? This is a straight angle. Okay? Combine the like terms. DeMarco, 10x plus 4x. 14x, and then you got this minus 2 equals 180. What is next? Alexis?
We minus the 2.
You gonna minus the 2?
No, add 2.
You gonna add the 2? Alright, 14x equals 182. Then, what do we have? Yes, ma'am.
Divide 14.
Divide by 14. Alright, so x equals what?
13.
13. X equals 13. Then you'll take 13 and you will substitute it into the expression. Alright, just substitute that into these expressions here. Okay? How do we feel about this so far? Alright, seeing that we had like the assignment before, now you think you could work it out a little bit better?
Yeah.
Alright, and then so tomorrow we'll look at bisectors. Right? We'll look at what bisectors are all about. Okay? Any questions? No questions. Alright. Don't forget to like and subscribe. MrDoTheMath out.